Here we are live. Thank you very much for joining, guys. Whether you're watching live now in the group or you're watching the replay, thank you very much for being here. And today we have a really cool guy. I was really excited for Esteban Baez to join the call because Esteban has created something that identifies this group very much, because this group is all about personal values and finding our own hidden or unperceived values and identity. And I think what Esteban has done is something really similar, which has to do a lot with self-esteem. Esteban created a program called The Ugly Samurai. Now, I know just a little, very, very little bit about it, but I want to hear all about it today. And all of you guys, I'm sure you're going to benefit from this. If you're really, sometimes, who doesn't go through these periods of time where we lack a little bit of self-esteem? I mean, especially years like this where you really don't know where to go, how to continue, how to create something new. And all of a sudden we see a lot of walls in front of us. But if we believe in ourselves more, I think there are always better ways to see life, right? I think if you connect to yourself at a deeper level, it's like life expands around you, for you, right? And I think this program has a lot to do with that. So let's start with you, Esteban. Tell us where you are you located in the U.S.?
Emilio, thank you. I'm in Florida. I live in Florida. Yes. I'm originally from Puerto Rico. I was born in Puerto Rico.
Okay.
Both of my parents are Puerto Rican. And
San Jose?
I'm sorry?
In San Jose?
What do you mean San Jose?
Oh, San Juan, sorry.
San Juan. Yeah. I like San Jose. Yeah, no, from San Juan, Puerto Rico.
Right.
Actually a little town called Rio Piedras. I was born in Rio Piedras. I grew up in Carolina, for those of you that know Puerto Rico. My mom's side of the family is from Caguas, and yeah, that's my background.
So your family all moved here, right?
We did. There was a hurricane, I believe it was Hurricane Andrews, that kind of destroyed the island, and my dad took the opportunity during that time to just sell everything and just come to Florida and start it from zero. My dad's a martial artist. He's a grandmaster in Taekwondo, and
Okay.
that's how we were raised. I have a sister, and we were raised through the martial arts. My father, that was his business. That's what he did, and that's what he's always done. And love my dad, love my mom, love them both dearly. They did their very, very best, and I love them. And I'm very grateful to have my parents and
Yes.
because a lot of people don't have, some people don't meet one of their parents, or some of them don't meet neither of their parents. So I'm very grateful for the life that I have. And even if I wasn't grateful, it's the life that you have. You should find ways to appreciate your life, because when you appreciate things, you can find the good things. You can find some good nuggets of truth and things that can help you grow. So yeah, very thankful for my background. And I want to say thank you to you, Emilio. Thank you for hosting this and for doing this group, man. I feel very honored to be here, and I just want to say thank you.
So yeah, like you said, you're very fortunate that you had your parents, your family, you had a stable family, two very good parents. And I believe also that your father got you started with the martial arts as well, right? You've been related to the martial arts.
Yeah, I had no choice. Yeah, he's old school dad, macho guy, martial artist. And
I think you had choices, but then you realized that maybe a little bit later.
well, I had the choices came later in life, not as a kid. I wanted to play baseball as a kid.
Really?
Oh yeah, my dad said, nope, martial arts. You're doing.
Are you a Yankee fan?
I'm not. No, I'm not a fan of the sport, but as a kid, I wanted to do that.
Okay.
I just wanted to do it as a kid. I didn't grow up looking at any other sports other than martial arts training and people fighting and sparring and learning strategies on how to spar better. And that was my life. I ate, you know, ate, breathe, martial arts, taekwondo. That's everything in my house. That's all we talked about. You know, it was just how to get better as an athlete in martial arts. In my teenagers, I was state champion in Florida for my
Really?
division. Yeah. And
What age was that?
I was probably 16, 17. Yeah. And and then after I achieved that, I focused more on teaching. So I was around families a lot, around children a lot, and figuring out ways to teach kids how to perform these complicated skills, how to perform kicks and memorize patterns. In order to become a black belt, you have to memorize, about 8 patterns that are somewhat complicated, and you have to perform them in a certain way with specific posture and strength and power and breath. So I focused after my career of fighting and competing, focused on teaching, and I taught martial arts for many, many years. I did that at my father's dojo for until very recent, believe it or not. I took a break at a point at times, but I always came back and taught.
So you started when you were little. You started getting teaching classes in martial arts when you were already a black belt. Or
Yeah,
before
yeah.
that?
My dad started me very young. He allowed me to start teaching. I got my black belt when I was about 13 years old, and then he allowed me to start leading classes around that age. Yeah. So I was teaching martial arts around that time.
So
He
what would you
basically
say?
he basically threw me in the lion's den. He didn't give me a choice. A lot of times my dad just put me in situations and said, "Okay, go, do it. You have no choice, just do it. If you don't do it, I'm gonna make you do push-ups in front of the entire class."
Oh,
That was, yeah, he was very, very old school, very rigid. And that was his time, and that was his mindset, and that's how I learned. It
I
was,
believe that he believed in that lifestyle, and he believed in what that can make you. So that's why he wanted to impose it to you, saying, you know what, this is going to be the best for him. I know if I'm going to impose it to him, but at the end, it's going to be the best. Maybe he should have, I don't know, taught you when you were little that you do have a choice still. I mean, if you don't like it, but I think you had that personality, that open personality since you were little, right? Because you seem to be a very good teacher because you seem to be very open minded and a good person, a person that wants to help others. So I guess you wanted to please your father as well,
yeah.
and
Well,
probably
I'll tell you this. As a kid, my experience as a kid, and I'm going to be very vulnerable here and just share my experience. And I want
yes,
to let everybody know that's watching that this is my experience, and my opinions, and I hope that I don't offend anyone. But if I do with anything that I say, that it's not
guys,
meant
don't
to.
take it personal, okay? He's
Yeah,
just gonna
it's
take it
not
personal.
meant to be
Don't take it
offensive at
personal.
all. It's just my journey, and this is my interpretation
Yeah.
of my life, right?
No, I
So
believe I mean people they only can benefit from something like that because people can hear the story, and sometimes there are little things that match with our personal lives and personal stories, and we may be able to apply a shift just because we hear what you did with it, right? So go ahead to hear that.
yeah. So as a kid, I took on the role of the caregiver, and one of my teachers, Marissa Peer, she teaches a concept that as children we have about two primary needs. She sometimes says four or two, but they're very similar. That's why. But I'll share it here. She says that as children we have the need to be loved, we have the need to feel significant, we have the need to feel safe and protected, and we have the need to feel like we matter. And if these needs are not being met by our parents, then we seek out ways to get love, become significant, feel safe, and feel like we matter. We seek out ways, and we do it in, usually it's expressed in 4 different ways. One is we purposely make ourselves ill. We make ourselves sick so that then we can get the attention of our
Makes
parents,
sense. Yeah.
right? Or if we don't get sick, we become brilliant. Extremely, we're like the smartest kid ever, perfect grades, we're like the perfect kid, the most brilliant kid, and that's how we get the attention, the approval of our parents. um, if we don't do that, we become the caregiver, and the caregiver is someone that is constantly fixing every problem in the family, finding solutions, and finding ways to protect and to fix our parents,
And
and
to
cares.
please as well, like a pleaser.
People pleaser, that comes from caregiving as well. And then if we don't do any of those 3, there's one more that she talks about. She talks about being rebellious. And by being the black sheep, you get the needs of love, significant, feeling safe and protected, and feeling you matter. You're constantly trying to meet those needs as a child. And here's the thing with children: children never stop loving their parents, even if your parent's abusive, even if your parent is the most, horrible human being
Or
on the
busy,
planet.
busy parent.
Yeah, even if the parent's a deadbeat parent, okay, the children never stop loving their parents. They stop loving themselves. So this is something in my journey. My dad meant well with a lot of things that he did. He didn't mean to harm. And no parent in their right mind means to harm their children,
Right.
right? And there's unconscious behaviors, and many times a lot of this behavior is just passed on from family to family, and then
Right.
you get what you get, right? And I think because of the way that I was raised, I took on the role of the caregiver, and I was extremely caregiving. It's extreme caregiving.
But why are you saying that you became that? Why?
Because of my nature. Also, I think it has to do, what either of these 4 roles also kind of fall into your personality too. So you figure out ways to meet your needs by choosing one of these roles. Unconsciously you choose them, and they kind of go either with your personality, or if you're in part of a big family, you look at the role that's not taken. Because if someone's already being rebellious, you might say, well,
Right.
I can't be rebellious because my sister's the rebellious one. I'll be the brilliant one. So
Right.
so she teaches this, and this makes sense to me. This is something that makes sense
And
to
you're
me.
saying that people take those roles without even thinking about it, right? Like subconsciously more, right?
It's
Guided.
unconsciously. You do this as a child, right? You don't even know why you do it.
Okay.
And I don't even know why I did it. I still don't understand it fully. But I understand it a little bit more. I understand that my nature has always been a caring nature. And there's nothing wrong with having a kind heart. What's wrong with having a kind heart is when you become a pushover, or when you do what I call extreme caregiving. When
What is
you're,
pushover?
yeah, which is a pushover, right?
No, what is a pushover?
Oh, a pushover is someone that can't say no. It's someone that it's a people pleaser to the extreme. They
Also,
will
okay.
they will please you to the extreme. They'll figure out what you need, even if you don't ask them to do things. They do them anyways. And this is some I can identify with pushover, because I believe I was a version of that in my life. And how do you know if you're a pushover? If you have a hard time saying no, or if you have a hard time being yourself. If you're always transforming yourself into what you think people want you to be. I'll repeat that again. If you always behave in a way that is not who you really are, you're just behaving the way that you think people want you to be. You say the things people want you think people want you to say. You're not saying what's on your heart. You're saying what do you want to hear? That's what I'll say. I'll say what you want to hear. I'll do what you want me to do. I'll give an example. When as I grew up, I started when I started my dating life, right? Um, I would always find out what the other person wanted, and I never even if I disagreed with them and didn't like their choice, I wouldn't share my opinions. I would just go along with whatever they wanted to do.
Why?
because I wanted
Out
to
of fear, out of fear of losing the people, the person.
being liked. It's this whole concept of being liked, wanting to be approved,
A need
having.
to be like that need. You think it wasn't met when you were a kid?
I don't think it was. Not for me.
Really?
Yeah, not for me. Not, and like I said, love my parents. I don't think my parents did anything that my parents did. I don't think they did consciously. They did it unconsciously. Um, so it's important to know that, because we all have scars from our youth. It doesn't matter, and when you're a parent, you know this because you're gonna pass some of your wounds to your children, even if you don't want to, because it's just part of who you are. But you're a good parent if you're trying not to. See, that's the thing. When
Right.
you're trying to love your kids as best as possible, and you realize, listen, I'm not perfect. No one is perfect. That's key. So part of my of me coming up with the Ugly Samurai framework was because I grew up with this huge sense of insecurity, and I want to show some pictures right here. I got two pictures. I
Yes.
didn't get a chance to digitize them, but this was about, I want to say, maybe 10-15 years ago. I don't remember exactly. But as a kid, I've been a performer in the martial arts, and I've done a lot of amazing things with my body, and I still had insecurity issues. And this is why I want people to know that some of the most insecure people are some of the most talented people in the world. And they just can't give themselves recognition. They just don't think they're good enough. And here's a picture of me. There's my dad in the background. This was something that my dad passed on to me. It's a break called, it's a 360 back kick
Are
blindfolded.
you the one on the knees?
No, no, I'm the one in the red guy. Very funny. Yeah, I'm the guy in the knees. That's how I feel though. At the time, that's how probably I felt while I was doing that. I'm like, I'm not good enough. But I did it. I would pull these things off, And here's another one. I'll show this one. Me just doing a side
Nice.
kick. Very
Is
high
that
side kick.
you?
That's me about
Wow.
15 years ago. Um,
Can
throwing
you
a
still
side
do
kick.
that?
I think so. Yeah, I can still throw a good side kick. It's almost like riding a bike. You don't really truly forget. In fact, I'll prove it. Let me prove it to you. I won't just say
That's some
yes.
stretch.
I'll prove it to you. I'll share my screen real quick. This is me. I'm 41 now. This was me at 40. So this was a year ago. Uh, Let me know if you can see the screen.
I can, yes.
Okay. So this is me with very little warm up, still doing it. And in this picture, I was about 20 pounds over than what I am today.
Really?
And I was still able to do it. And that's doing a jump side kick. That's a reverse hook kick. That's just me posing, side kick, and there's that kick again. That was the kick that was happening on the blindfolded.
Oh,
Uh, but as you can see, it's almost like riding a bike. You don't forget. And this was me at 40. And 15 years ago, I was way lighter, and I was still able to pull it off at 40. Um, how did I feel after I did it? I was sore. I was very, very sore. But
I don't think so. I don't think so.
no, I was. But I share those pictures just to tell people that even though I did all those things, my self-esteem, I've had self-esteem issues, and where it really showed up was in my personal relationships, when I was in my dating life, in my marriage. This is one of the most painful experience that really helped me come up with the Ugly Samurai philosophy, was going through a divorce after having a kid with my first wife. I have a daughter. She's gonna be 16 this month in
Wow.
November. No, she's gonna be 16. I'm very proud of my
Hmm.
16-year old, my girl. And I just spoke to her right before getting on this call, and it's just beautiful to see her journey and see her grow. Um, so, but when I married her mother, I have very low self-esteem, and
Why do you say that?
so, well, here's how you know if you have low self-esteem. Okay, low
Yeah, I want
self-esteem.
you because you've been through this, so I want you to tell us, how do you notice that? Because if we're going through a period of low self-esteem, I think there's a lot of roads closed for us in our life, right? But sometimes we don't even know that's the reason. We think that just we're being punished or that we're unlucky or
Yeah,
whatever reasons, right? But when we start to say, you know what, maybe I do have like this guy low self-esteem, but how can I notice that so I can work on it?
good. So I think one of the signs of knowing if you have low self-esteem is how much do you like yourself? And if you can answer that question honestly and say, I like myself a lot. And one of the signals is if you look in the mirror and you're constantly criticizing yourself, you have that's a signal, that's a flag. Here are all the flags of low self-esteem. Self-criticism, constant self-doubt, constant worry about the future. Those are flags. Um, Constant negativity about yourself and your abilities.
Like also like thinking that you won't be able to perform something the right way, or say, no, I'm not going to do that because that's not for me, or maybe I'm sure I'm not going to be successful here. That's another sign, you think?
That's a huge sign. When I think of one of the greatest athletes in the world, I think of Muhammad Ali,
Mm,
right?
right,
Muhammad Ali used to say, I am the greatest. I'm the
right.
baddest.
Yeah,
Sting, what is it? Uh, Something like a butterfly, sting like a bee. I forget what he used to say. But he was always giving himself compliments.
yeah.
And he was interviewed once and he was asked by an interviewer, uh, how'd you become the greatest? He says, I started to say that I was the greatest before I was the greatest.
Right. Yeah.
He started to say that before he was the greatest, to the point where it became a reality. So I say this to for people to know that if you're constantly criticizing yourself, I'm ugly, I'm fat, I'm stupid, I'm dumb. These are ways that that your self-esteem is low, or I'm not good enough. This is a very key phrase. There's an author, I forget her name, but I'll if I remember, I'll say it. But there's a book called Codependent No More. In the book Codependent No More, the author teaches that when you're codependent, you have this belief that you're never good enough. You're never good enough, no matter what you do. You see all these pictures I showed you. Imagine, there's people here that see that and they're like, wow, he's a great martial artist. And I still couldn't give myself credit. And I still today, even still to this day, I look at those pictures and I'm like, all right, I'm starting. Just now, I'm just starting to allow myself to say, you know what? That's a great back kick. That's a great kick. You trained really hard for that. You did a great job, to give myself credit. It's
Yeah.
important to give yourself credit, to praise yourself, because that
It's not
builds.
about an ego thing. It's just like you say, giving yourself credit, saying, you know what, I did this, guys. Look what I achieved. Not to show off or ego or bother anyone, but that's giving yourself credit, like you're saying. You have to do that.
Yeah, I'm not promoting being conceited. That's not what I'm saying. Conceit, it's not conceit, is self-love. It's
Yeah.
practicing self-love. It's giving yourself credit. This is not for me to show off and say, hey, look what I can do, to try to make myself greater than someone. And because when people do that, if I show these pictures, I start boasting about my abilities and I'm trying to make everybody else feel less than me because I can do this. That's childish. That's insecurity at its finest.
Yes.
That's,
Yeah.
so, but then there's the other extreme where you're never good enough. So you got to find balance, and in life. And I'll share this. What is, a lot of people ask me, so what is the ugly samurai? What does that mean? What it means is a transformation, is a play on words, and it's a transformation of the word ugly. One of the things that I felt in my life was ugly. I felt ugly. I felt like I wasn't enough. And I felt like my wife couldn't love me, because for whatever reasons, our intimate life was almost non-existent. This is for my first wife. Thank God I fixed that issue. but in my first marriage, where I have my kid, there was no intimacy, very little intimacy, and if any, and I just felt completely unattractive as a person, and that I could never please this person, no matter what I did, because I was practicing being a pushover. And when you don't love yourself, you think being a pushover is the strategy. You think that if I please this person and give them everything they want, then they'll love me. And I did everything she wanted to the T, and she still didn't love me. In fact, she ended up leaving me, and not wanting to be with me at all, and served me with divorce papers. And that was the lowest, I think, one of the lowest points in my life, was having a kid, being committed to a marriage that the other party was not committed to. And I just wanted to continue it. I wasn't ready to give up. And she was done with my personality, with me.
How was
And
the relationship in the beginning?
in the beginning,
Really good?
well, here's the thing. People, there's this saying that says like attracts like. And I think it's important to know, when relationships happen, that you are sending a signal out into the world, and you're going to bring the people that are going to validate that signal. So if my signal was, I'm not good enough, I'm not lovable, I'm insecure, I'm going to bring people into my world that are going to validate my subconscious belief, even if I'm not saying that consciously. So consciously, I might say, okay, I'm going to go for it. I'm going to ask her out. But if inside I'm super insecure, it's going to come into the surface somehow. I'm going to reveal to the other person, show me how insecure I am. And I'm a strong believer when people say, on the saying that says, you teach people how to treat you. I brought her into my world, and I taught her how to treat me. I taught her that I wasn't good enough, and I make sure that she showed me that that I wasn't good enough. And in her version of attracting me into her life, she also didn't want to have a relationship with someone that was confident. You see? So whatever her world was, she attracted me into her world, and I attracted her into my world. I validated her experiences. She validated my experiences. So, so when I was served with, so yeah, obviously it all starts very good in relationships, but as soon after the the honeymoon stage goes away, the real beliefs start to show up.
The essence starts to surface, right? So your essence radiates into your aura, right? And your aura is picked up. So if you're really, really an uncertain and insecure person, you can even be standing there looking at people down, but something is going to be picked up from that aura. People will know as soon as you open your mouth or look somewhere, it will be reflected somehow. So probably she didn't notice that in the beginning, but then you started to show yourself who you were. And then, guys, you cannot be a people's pleaser in a relationship. That actually kills attraction in relationships. And people start getting bored of the person. Even you can give them the world, but it's not about what they receive. It's about who they are with. You cannot be like that type of pleaser, because it leaves nothing. That's what really kills relationships. Nobody wants to be with somebody like that.
Yeah, and if you can't say no, this is a huge flag, because I couldn't say no. This woman could have, the saying goes, if I say jump, you're supposed to say how high. And that's what I would say, she would say jump, I say how high you want me to jump. There was never no resistance. So there was no attraction. Because when you're not being yourself, eventually people realize that all you're doing is pleasing them. You don't even have a substance. You don't have personality. You become a lie, in a sense, something that they didn't even ask for. And but that was my experience, and that was what I called that experience of being served with divorce papers was what woke me up, began to woke me up to the reality that I had a problem. And if you're watching this, it's probably because you've gotten to a place in your life where you know that you have to figure it out. You can never find the help you need unless you're ready for the help. You know, you got to be ready. You got to be in a place in your life where you want to change. And I wanted to change. I it was so painful for me to go through a divorce. I didn't come from divorce. And not only that, I was extremely identify myself as a husband and as a father at the time. That was my world, you know. So if you take away that role from me, the husband role or the well, you can never take away the father role, but at the time I had them both in the same box. You know, I had father and husband in the same box. I had to separate them mentally. I had to do that. And there's a lot of work. I had to do a lot of self work, you know, personal work on myself to heal the wounds of the creations that I create. I created this. I made this thing happen. I participated in it. I brought my ex-wife into it, and I'm so thankful that she dumped me. Today I say thank you. You know, when I was going through it.
You were kind of devastated when that happened, right?
Oh yeah. I was
So
like,
how were you feeling when you already knew that it was over?
oh
How
yeah,
did
no,
you feel about your future? Saying, didn't you feel like big part of who you were was left in that relationship? Like saying, what's left out here is nobody. Didn't you feel that kind of feeling?
oh yeah.
And what's next for me, right?
I felt worthless. I felt, and the word ugly really defines how I felt. So I had to transform the word ugly because I felt totally disgusted with myself and ugly that I couldn't keep my wife at the time.
Like you were feeling maybe like ugly or worthless like long time ago, and then when she did this, that confirmed to you that you were right, and you felt
Exactly.
worse than ever, right?
Yes,
That was a
exactly.
confirmation.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
then, so I want to know what when you were in that deep hole that probably you were near depression and all these type of feelings, right? You didn't want
Oh
to do
yeah, it
anything.
was horrible. It was horrible.
You were trying to go out to date some people new, or you were just trying to be
I was
reclusive.
just trying to get her back. I was trying to
Okay.
get her back. And we even attempted therapy during this process. And this is my second clue. And you know, in life, you're gonna get clues. People are gonna show up in your life that are gonna give you hints, and I call it the cosmic 2x4. It's like bam, wake up, man. You know, it's like it was, you know, I felt like it was the universe telling me, dude, wake up, open your eyes. You need to
Don't you see what's happening in your face?
right. Yeah. And when you're going through the experience, you
You
don't
can't
see
see
it.
that.
You don't see it because it's a deep rooted program. It's a programming that's playing. You know, low self-esteem is just a program.
Right.
You change the program. And that's what I was coming to the revelation of. It was that I was playing this program, and it was like the universe, God, whatever you want to say, was trying to tell me, listen, you are an amazing human being. Stop criticizing yourself. Stop being so insecure.
So at that point, did you realize it was some sort of low self-esteem, the problem, or you just thought, here it is, I'm
It was a
worthless.
therapist that
I'm a
did it.
worthless human being.
No, it was a therapist that did it. She held a mirror. She said, "I know what the problem is here." She had a little interview with us, and then she said she wanted to speak with us separately. And when she met with me, she told me, "I know what the problem is. She says, I believe with all my heart that you love that woman and that you love your family." And she says, "But the problem is that you don't love yourself." This is the first time anyone has ever said those words to me. And I was like, "What do you mean? What do you mean I don't love myself?" She says, "I want you to look in the mirror." And she had a mirror in her office. And she says, "I want you to really look into your eyes and say, 'I love you, Esteban.'" And
Hmm.
yeah,
How do you feel about that?
it's a simple sentence to say, right? To think about, but to say it, to actually say it and mean it. I couldn't do it. I choked.
Really?
Yeah, I choked. I couldn't do it. I said, how could I love myself?
There was some programming then.
Yeah, I said, how
Yeah.
could I love myself if I can't even get my wife to love me? She says, well, that's the point. That's exactly what she said. She said, that's the point. If you don't love yourself, no one can love you.
It's true.
So that was the beginning of my journey. She gave me an assignment. The assignment was simple, was to look in the mirror every day and to repeat and to look into my eyes the way I would want a lover to look at me, and just to say the words, I love you, until I can feel that I love myself, not as being conceited, but this was a practice that she started me on, to so that I can start to accept myself and my qualities and who I am as a person. And this is where my journey began. One of the first things I did for myself was I said, okay, well, if I love myself, look what happened. Just starting to plant that seed into my mind, I started to ask different questions. I'm like, what do I want to do? And I thought, I always wanted to take dance lessons. This is something I always wanted to do, because I've always been in martial arts, and I've seen some salsa dancers dance really good. And I was like, I want to be able to do that, because that's my background, my heritage. And I'm like, I can dance. I know I have rhythm, but I don't know how to do those turns. I want to learn how to do that. And that was the first thing that I did to start loving myself. So key question here for anyone watching is, what do you want to do with your life? That's a key question that I had to, I had to give myself permission to ask it, because I wouldn't even allow myself to ask myself, what do I want to do with my life? Because it was always, what do they want? Who should I become for them? What do they want me to do? This is why I stayed and I ran the family business for years. For years, man. I didn't leave until not long ago, by the way. But I stayed in the family business because it was always, what does my father want? What does he need? What do they want? What does my mom need? They need me. I need to be there for them. That, which is all
A false
good.
belief. False belief.
Yeah, but it's all good. Look how it disguises itself with goodness. Because there's nothing wrong with being there for your parents, is there?
No.
There's nothing wrong. But what's wrong is when you stop living your life to be there for your parents,
Right.
and you don't take care of your life. Like if your life becomes just your parents, and then you don't have a
I
life.
think that applies for anybody, that you will just live for anybody else besides your parents. It's just for anybody.
And we do it with our children. We do it with our partners, and we think that's the way to go. We think, well, I live only for my kids, only for my kids. And you forget that these kids are going to grow up and they're going to leave. They're going to start their own families. And then what do you do when they leave if you don't take care of yourself? It's so important to have a healthy practice of self-love. And this is where my journey started. That's my story. It started with divorce. So anyone watching this going through divorce, I feel your pain. I know, been there and been through it. And you should celebrate your divorce. Every time I hear somebody saying they're getting divorced, I'm like, oh, they're getting initiated. This is an opportunity for them to get initiated, to learn to love themselves.
Look, in my personal opinion about the therapies, I don't think therapies work. I think when you have to go to therapy to try to save your marriage, try something happen new or something better, I think you're already at a point of non-reversal. I think that partnership is over.
Yeah.
And you can't resuscitate something that is already dead. I don't think you're going to go to therapy and say, oh, we're already a magnificent couple. I think it's not going to be true.
Yeah. For things to change, people have to change. That's the thing. So if the person doesn't change, the marriage doesn't change. And it takes two to tango. They both have to want to make it work. And usually when you get to the point of someone already serving divorce papers and everything, it's usually there is a point of no return. I do believe that. And you got to accept it. That doesn't mean you can't.
You were not surprised when she came to divorce you, right?
Oh no, I wasn't shocked. I was so infatuated with the idea of marriage and of being with this person forever. I made a promise, and we got married by the church, and I made a promise, and that's the thing. I was very extreme with my beliefs, and and kind of childish too, uh and naive, and again, the belief didn't allow me to be happy, because the belief said I got to do what this person wants, you know so it was just a strong, it was just a ineffective belief. And like I said, I don't mean to be offensive, because there's a lot of beliefs about marriage and divorce, depending on people's religions and stuff like that, and I don't mean to go there. What I mean, the place that I want to go to is this sense of feeling worthless, ugly, like you don't matter, like you're not enough. I hit that point like really hard, man. Like I was like, what do I do now? And the very first thing I did was buy dance shoes. I said, okay, I'm gonna take some salsa. I'm gonna take some salsa classes. And that's what I did. That's what worked for me. I had to move my body to get through the pain in that time. So when there's a death of something in life, it could be the death of a loved one, or the death of a relationship, or the death of a career, or the death of anything. COVID-19 brought many deaths, and we've all been affected by some type of death because of COVID-19. And one of the deaths that happened to me because of COVID was, I was working for a big company, uh, and they laid us off. It was just, they were done. They were done with that department, and I was faced with not having a career after living the family business to go do this thing. I'm in the marketing world.
So,
And,
Grant Cardone is watching right now.
yeah.
Tell him in the face.
That's my old boss. Yeah, he knows. Emilio knows. So yeah. I worked for Grant, and then Grant laid the department off, and he was just like, he was done with that department. And whatever happened, who knows what happened. But the thing is that I was faced with the death of a new career that I had started, and I'm like, what am I going to do now? And I remember that I had come up with this mindset, this framework called Ugly Samurai. I think this would be a good time for me to finally say what it is, because I've been saying it all this time. But ugly is a concept, it's a framework to help you understand who you are. The first, ugly, is used as an acronym. So now when my mind ever even thinks of the word ugly, I've changed that word to be the most positive word in my vocabulary. That if even if I think I'm ugly, I'm like, yes, I am, because here's what it means. I understand my greatness. That's the U and the G in ugly. And I love myself. That's the L and the Y. Love yourself, right? Ugly. Understand your greatness and love yourself. And this is not a pill that you take one day and it's like, great, I understand my greatness and I love myself. It's a practice. This is why it's called the Ugly Samurai. A samurai is a Japanese warrior, right? A Japanese samurai. They used to carry swords, and they used to train daily because they had to protect the empire, And if they didn't train, imagine a samurai that didn't train. Would you want that samurai to be part of your team? No. So that's why it's a journey. It's a framework that I use every single day. So what is greatness? I redefine greatness. When you think of greatness, you probably think of an athlete, the greatest athlete that comes to your mind, and you're like, yep, they're great and I'm not. You see, because they've done something great, you automatically by default say, well, I'm not great in that sport. I'm not great. They're great. But I challenge people now to challenge the word greatness, because greatness is something that we're all born with. We're all born with a brain, functioning brain. The brain has great qualities in it. It has the quality of imagination. has the quality of memory. It has those two qualities alone in the brain make humans great. So the fact that you're a human being makes you great. Now you can take greatness now to level 2, where you reveal your greatness to the world. This is where you practice something constantly, become really good at it, and become, you can even become the best in the world at something. That's level 2 of greatness. See? But you should never believe because someone else is great at something that you're not great. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that's the first part of the framework, is understanding that you already are great. You already are great. Muhammad Ali, before he became the greatest boxer in the world, before he was great, he already told himself, I'm the greatest. So think about that lesson just from Muhammad Ali. You know, he wasn't even revealing his greatness yet, but he believed in his greatness already. And
Yeah, Michael Jordan also said, they asked him how you become not only a great basketball player, but the best of all time. What kind of mindset do you need for that? And he said, well, I was born with a lot of God-given talent. I know that, but I had to train more than anybody else. I was always there in the trainings first. I would leave last, and I would every time I would get in the field to play, I would do better than anybody would expect from me. I had to do better than anybody could ever imagine I could do. So, and what about Michael Phelps? Also said, I was a champion before I became a champion. He said, so these people were there before. He said, Michael Phelps says, I was a champion already in my mind. I was watching races and I said, I can do this. How does the guy win for 1,000 of a second, his 7th consecutive gold medal, fought by this? And he was losing the whole race. But what do you think? That he trained very well, or he just slept very well the night before? It was that reservoir of energy that says, I'm the best. I'm not going to lose this. Or Tiger Woods always saying, every time I won a championship, I started practicing my swing, right? So he was always ahead. When people started copying his last swing, he's always ahead. But he said, if I don't believe that I can win a championship, I won't even compete. So these people have in common, they're always, like you say, they're first. Mind gets first, body follows, right? And results follow.
that's it.
So that's how it's done.
So that's the first part of the Ugly Samurai, is
But you discover it yourself. Nobody tell you this. You discover it yourself.
Well, there's obviously success leaves clues too. I'm a long time student of personal development, and I think a lot of us that are long time, there's a thin line. I became a junkie of personal development stuff. Like I started collecting books and audio tapes and listening to everything I could get my hand on. And success, like Tony Robbins says, success leaves clues. I started listening to the philosophy as well, and but I've been a long time student of personal development. But I've taken a stand. My stand is simple. I am no longer an information junkie. I stopped being an information junkie. I'm not buying any more books, courses, or things if I don't intend to practice it for 100 days. That's my new, that's been my new rule. If I'm going to consume any more self-help stuff, it's going to be because I'm committed to practicing it for 100 days. Otherwise, I'm not consuming it.
If you get a client to merge into this practice for 100 days, you can almost guarantee the result they're looking for. If they
yeah.
100 days.
If you do something for 100 days, you will definitely.
But you can guide people to do what they need to.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, listen. One of the things that I've done during COVID-19 is I've been training. During COVID-19 is I decided that I am going to stand for this. And my stand is simple. I love personal development so much that, but I've also been disappointed by it because I've read the books, but I've been disappointed with myself mainly because I got the information, but I didn't do nothing with it. And the power with personal development is when you do something like this. I'll show you something like this. Look, these are days and these are practices These are things that I decided to practice and getting done. This is a total of 100 days. I like to doodle, so there's my art, but but my point is, if you can see there's this day 100, there it is.
Yeah.
My point is that if you don't practice what you know, you never become great at it. That's level 2 of greatness. But level 1 of greatness is knowing that you already are great. We're all diamonds in the rough, if that's the right way to
You
say it.
convince somebody to see that in them?
No, they have to be ready. You have to be looking for it. See, all this happened because I hit rock bottom.
I want to know how you did to transition to that rock bottom place
Yeah.
into where you are now. How do you do that? Because
Well,
right now you develop all this program, but how do you get into that? I want to know that shift.
yeah. So the shift happened when you hit rock bottom. Everybody in life, I believe, gets a calling. There's a calling. Everybody has this thing called a prompting or a voice that lives inside of you. I believe everybody's born with this. And I know this might sound a little, mystical. I don't mean to be mystical about it,
Good. Why not?
but but that's just my personal belief. I believe that everybody gets a call and not everybody answers the call. Wayne Dyer used to say, make sure you don't die with your music still in you. Many poets have said that everybody's born with a song, you know, and you have to sing this song in your life. So I don't think I can help anybody. And I don't think my job is to convince anybody to do this. I think my job is, once someone is convinced that they need help, right? That they need a guide, that they need a mentor, or that they need someone to show them a how to, and to guide them in the how to, and to hold them accountable to a how to, uh, then that's where I can come in and help them, because I had someone do that for me. These 100 days didn't happen because I came up with this wonderful idea on my own of doing these 100 days. This was a personal friend of mine who challenged me. He heard about me losing my job and he said, "Hey, great. Now you can do 100-day challenge with me." And I was like, "What?" He's like, "Great. You lost your job. What are you going to do with your time now?" I said, "I don't know. I think I need to get another job." He's like, well, you have some money put aside. So why don't you, let's do something, So in life, you get a calling. So the first call was when my first wife dumped me. The second call was, I've had different calls in my life. Another time that I got a call was when my daughter decided to go live with her mother. And I was like, oh, great. As much as I love my kid, she just wanted to live with her full time. She's getting, as they get older, they become teenagers, they start having their own mind.
Right.
And so I got that second 2x4. It's like, whammo, here you go, boom. And I was like, okay, great. Now, what do I do? Now, how am I a father to this kid that doesn't come home to me? It's tough, right? Again, and then the next one of the 2x4, boom, COVID-19. You don't have a job anymore. What are you gonna do next, right? So I think having mental toughness is important, and in order to have a mental tough mind, in order to have a tough mind, you need to have trained your mind to be tough. It doesn't happen by accident. You don't just get a tough mind, you know, and having a healthy relationship with pain and discomfort. This is something that should be taught. This is something that I teach in the Ugly Samurai is that you should have a healthy relationship with discomfort. You should purposely put yourself in uncomfortable situations on a consistent basis and figure out a way to get comfortable. One of the things that I do to do that is I do 20 minutes of language learning every day. Why? Because it's extremely uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Try that, try learning a new language. You have absolutely no knowledge about it. The sounds are different and it's it's very uncomfortable. so so you need to have a healthy relationship with pain and discomfort, and you need to learn that that's part of life. And that's how you create grit. You create grit by putting yourself in uncomfortable situations. So I can only help someone that is ready. Like there's the saying, when the student is ready, the teachers show up. you know and that's, I think it's the other way around too. When the teacher is ready, the students show up too. you know
I think a
so
lot of people don't manage to make changes just because they start making research on their own. And like you say, then people find out about programs and then they don't follow through and they go back to the same place. I think if you really need help with something that you're not an expert with, find somebody that's been through this, like you, that have managed to realize what was the issue, and then you got help. And
yeah,
until you got so much help that you applied everything you were taught into a point where you mastered it and you create a program that will help others. That's also incredible that you can start. I think we all have big part of everybody's mission in this world is become of value to be able to bring value to others. And I think when you start being a people's pleaser, like you say, or a caregiver, you start forgetting about you.
extreme
Therefore,
extreme care.
therefore, you start, if you forget about you start losing the possibilities to add more value to your life. And then how do you pretend to be valuable for others, be seen as valuable, if you have forgotten about yourself for years, and therefore you're not as valuable as you could be, right? So how can you how can you bring value to anybody else if you don't give value to yourself? So I think if when you start working on your self-esteem or self-image, which is what I do, your image grows, and all of a sudden it's like the world expands around you. You say, you know what, there's much, much more out of life still be done. You realize about yourself, your greatness, right? And when you realize that, it's like you want more and do more, and as a result you get more.
Yeah,
So I think right, it's all tied up. So I think self-image is not the same thing as self-esteem, but they
right.
go really compatible.
They go hand
And
in hand.
you're going through a moment like this. I think another way that I think you can realize if there's anything wrong with you and the perspective you have of yourself is watching your results, right? If you're not getting things that you want, if you're not even setting up goals, I always speak about goals and ask about goals. If you tell me that you're really, if I tell you where would you live in ideal circumstance, what kind of life would you have? And by the answer, I know where the level of self-esteem is, or self-love, however you call it. They tell me, no, I just want to, I just want to have my bills paid. That's their big goal, having their bills paid off. Instead of saying, I want to have a 7 streams of passive income, do with my time what I love, travel around the world with that passive income. People didn't even believe they can do that, or they deserve that, or they capable of that. You understand? So then you realize that it's about the self-esteem. Because if you want much more out of life, you would go for it, and as a result, you get more. But I think people are stuck at certain levels, right? That's why I always like to ask the question: what would your life be in ideal circumstances? But I think you have to look for the help, because by yourself, if you, like I said, if you don't master this topic, you need somebody that does.
Yeah, you do. And one of my mantras that I say, it has to be part of your belief system, is I model and admire successful people. That's one of my fundamental beliefs. You see, I
You
admire
mean
and
like role
model.
models have role model, right?
Yeah, I admire and model successful people. I'm not afraid to spend money on my education. I'm not afraid to spend money on a coach. I'm not afraid to spend money on a course. What I'm afraid of, because of my past, is to spend money on a course and not apply it. You see?
Right. Mhm.
And that's always something that I think is missing in the personal development world, that sometimes we enroll in courses and they are well intended for you to follow through, but there really isn't a system in place for you to follow through. So it's important for you to know that, when promises are being made, on a course or on a program, that you are aware that you are responsible to act on it. It's if you the information is there. We live in the information age. We're past the information age. It's like, you want to know about any topic, about anything, you got a browser and you could search
And
about.
a big mistake people make also is they don't really value free. They think that they have to pay for something to be valuable, and if it's free, it's no good. These things that we have here, these calls with people important like Esteban. I think that we're giving you something for free for you to grasp. I think they have tremendous or more value than the things that you would pay, because it's value and
Yeah,
it's what you do with it. So it doesn't matter where it comes from, the source. I think
right.
you can always add things to your life and become of more value. And when you start grasping things from everywhere and become more valuable, I think your self-esteem inevitably rises, right?
It does, and like I said, it's a journey. It's not like a pill that you can take and now you have high self-esteem, right? So it's a journey, right? So I like to track my journeys with a simple chart like this, like I'm showing everybody here. It's just a
Nice.
simple chart, and the empty space I like to doodle on it. But these are the activities in one column, these are the days, and that's how you track progress. Tony Robbins teaches that happiness comes from progress. If you're not measuring your progress, you don't know. You see, you don't know if you're growing or not growing, and it's hard for you to give yourself credit if you're not keeping track of it. So it's important to keep track of the changes you're making in your life, because one of the self-love that I didn't get a chance to talk about self-love, so let's do that real quick before we end the call. um the ugly samurai is three frameworks. One is understanding your greatness. You already are great. That's phase one. Phase two, now let's reveal the greatness, and the greatness gets revealed through practice, daily practice, right? That's where the samurai concept comes in. It becomes a daily practice, right? The second concept is the concept of self-love, having a self-love practice. This is where you have systems in place to, first of all, you need to identify, how do you talk to yourself? What are you saying about yourself? What comes out of you when you're under pressure, right? When you're unconscious, what's coming out? What comes out in autopilot? Like, if you stub your toe on the refrigerator, what do you say? Or if you make a mistake playing a game, what comes out of you? This is how
If
you
there's a big
know.
difference by saying, okay, it's going to go away, don't worry, you didn't see that, or saying, you're a stupid idiot. Big difference, right?
What comes out of you?
Observe these things and you'll realize where you are.
That's how you know. That gives you a baseline. If you say, God, I'm such a stupid idiot, like, and you're saying that, and it's like, wow. Because you could have said, oh, I really hurt myself. That was dumb. That was dumb. Is very different from, God, I am dumb, you know,
I deserve this.
or I deserve this. Oh God, I must have deserved this. Yeah. So self-talk is key. So it's important to understand, one of the things that I ask people is, do you ask negative things, when you use your self-talk, right? Do you ask negative things and make negative comments about yourself or your life, right? Like, for example, why am I so stupid? They usually come in the form of a question. God, I'm so stupid. Or why am I so dumb? Why does this always happen to me? Which is
Mm.
not true. It doesn't always happen to you, but you think that, or I'm such a loser. I hate myself, or I hate my life, or here we go again, or please kill me. If you talk like this, this kind of tells you where your self-esteem is. I'd rather die than do this. I can't do anything right, or I'm not good enough. So this is understanding self-talk, because when you switch to self-talk, it changes everything in your world. You start seeing things differently. And one of the practices I would encourage anyone to do, if you're watching this far, right, is to do mirror work. Look at yourself in the mirror and say, "I love you," as often as you can, and get to love who you are as a person, who you are as a personality, your character, your personality, your the things that you think are ugly to you. They're usually the things that other people like about you. Some people might hate the fact that they don't have any hair. Right? That's something that my wife loves about me. She tells me, "No, don't you ever grow any hair, because I'm probably not gonna like you if you grow hair." That was the first thing she was attracted to, was my bald head. I was like, "Really?" To me, that's strange, right? But to her, that was attractive to her. You see, so the people that have curly hair want straight hair. The people that have straight hair want curly hair. You know, learn to appreciate what was given to you.
Acceptance.
Approve of yourself. Approve of yourself. And that's a phrase that I say: "I approve of myself. I approve of myself." Got that from Louise Hay. She's the creator of Hay House. She used to say it 200 times is not even enough to say it.
Every day.
I approve of myself. Yep. I approve of myself.
When you shower, when you cook,
I
when
approve
you
of myself.
walk.
Yeah.
Plenty
Because
of time.
because when you have self-love and self-approval, you're not doing things to seek for other people to accept you. You are giving yourself permission to be yourself. And if you didn't grow up with that permission, it's going to take you some time to install that program. So approve of yourself. Give yourself permission to be you. I approve of myself. So here's another one. This is self-love practices, right? Have a gratitude practice. Think of things that you're constantly thankful for, especially the little things in life. Learn to look at the little things in life, like the smile of a stranger that you weren't expecting. And you're like, "Oh, look at that kind hearted person." Or the fact that you left your phone at a restaurant. This is actually a big deal. This happened to me the other day. Left my phone in a restaurant. You call it and you don't know where it is. You call the restaurant and someone was kind enough to return it. You know, think about that. This still happens to this day. And we take those things for granted. We're like, "Oh, okay, I got my phone back. Everything's back to normal." But you forget to say thank you. You know, remember the little kindness of people, because they don't have to be kind. And it happens, and it shows up in your world every day and you don't even notice. So become aware of the little things in life. The fact that your wife or your partner, whoever you are, made you breakfast or made you coffee. It's a little thing, but they don't have to do it, and they made it for you. uh you know a card that you get in the mail, whatever. Be thankful. So thank you. Daily mantra practices. Here we go. Thank you. I am enough. It's time to reverse the negative spell of "I'm never good enough." Practice saying "I am enough." Practice saying "I approve of myself," and practice saying "I love myself." Those are my last things that I want to leave everybody with. Is have a gratitude practice. If you should have a gratitude journal, something like this, and then write in that journal all the things that you're thankful for. Write them down before you go to bed. Write at least 5 things you're thankful for, and just write them down and go to bed. These things, I know they sound silly. And it's like, is that all you got to do to build self-esteem and to change your life? It really is. It's not that complicated to have a practice. The thing is that the things we don't do, the times we don't say thank you, the times we don't believe we're enough, the times we don't approve of ourselves, and the times that we forget to love ourselves, it compounds over time. And next thing you know, your life is a mess. You see?
And those are all missed opportunities. because these opportunities don't come like every time you want. But when you have the opportunity to get something like you said, I just got the phone back or whatever happened that day, there are tons of chances for us to be thankful for, right? Thankful for this, for this. If you look for it, you'll see that there are more that you can even imagine. Things that we're not aware of those because we're really not looking for those, right? But we have to start looking. If you want to change your life, you have to start looking for these. This is a practice. If you want to grasp anything of what Esteban showed us today, I think you guys should practice these things every day. Today I'm going to practice all day. Sometimes you forget because it's a lack of practice, right? But start getting the habit of practicing these things every time they happen. Be thankful for this. Be thankful for the energy right now in this room because thanks to that we're connected. Because I pay my electricity, because I'm able to, right? I have thank God computers. There's many things all the time to be thankful for.
Our brain is automatically programmed to look for the bad things.
Right.
So you have to go out of your way to do this. If you don't make a commitment to go out of your way, you're always going to see the bad because your brain is programmed to keep you alive. And in order to keep you alive, it's going to look at all the negative things and the things you should watch out for, be careful. And you know, that's how we were raised too. You know, a lot of us were raised, you know, my parents used to yell at me, you know, watch out, stop, you know, don't do that, you know, like, and imagine that's the program since we were kids. And then we become adults and then that's what we hear. We're like, watch out, don't go there. Don't put money in that, you know, save your money, do this, do that. And the next thing you know, you're operating without even knowing in lack, and you're operating in low energy, low self-esteem, low self-confidence, because you're just trying to survive. You're in survival mode. And one of the things that you need to do you don't need to do it. But one of the things that I did to get out of that survival brain, that survival mentality was I started to tap into my breathing. Practicing belly breath help you relax, and it helps you operate from the creative state of mind instead of the survival state of mind. So belly breathing, that's the last thing I'm going to add to that self-love practices. Look at it, you know, do some research on belly breath because you'll
Yeah, guys, I think also it's important to know that no matter what kind of life you had, you program your life the way it is. Okay, so now when you start looking for the life that you want, which you should write down the things that you want ideally, right? And then when you start going in the direction that you want, then you start to realize all the things that are wrong right now that are not aligned with what you want. Now, when you're not looking for something in life, then everything seems to be where it is, right? Because you're not looking for something in particular. But when you say, you know what, I want this in my life, I want this to happen, I want to change, I want to become this type of person. Another thing, just focus on the person you want to become instead of things. And when you start to wish and go towards the direction that you want to become, you start to notice all the things that are wrong in your life. And then the only and they're here because you program it that way. It's not because you're doomed, because you were punished, because you're unlucky, because you just unconsciously programmed the way it is right now. So what's the solution? Find the direction in the direction you want to go in life, and then start to program it that way. And everything is going to start happening towards that. But it's the same way you program it this way, you can reprogram it the way you want, right? And I think what you've done is incredible. Programming the word ugly, like you always thought you were ugly, and then that you mastered a way in your mind to tell your mind ugly means this actually, not that. And now automatically your mind goes to that meaning. So you change the meaning. Like Tony Robbins also said, change the meaning. It's the meaning what kills us. If this thing is killing me, it's because of the meaning I'm giving it, right? And I think meaning is something that we have the possibility to change like this. And with focus, where focus goes, energy flows, right?
That's right.
If you focus in the things, in the problems that you have, I mean, if you have problems, you only have to focus in the solution, right? Not focusing in we're having this problem and how I'm going to do this. And you know, it's not bad to think about a problem while you're trying to solve it, right? But if you're just focusing on the debts and all these things, well, you're gonna have more debt, more of these problems. If you focus on the people that you don't want to meet as in your dates, you're gonna start landing all these type of people that you don't want, right? So control your focus. And the best way is just controlling the things that you want. Look at the things that in the future. What do I want ideally? And then maybe today the circumstances are not ideal in order to make that happen now. But when you start thinking about it, start feeling those things, guess what? Circumstances start changing in the shape of that to fit that need, right? That's the way. And that's how Esteban did it, I think. He started focusing on the things that he really wanted to accomplish, right?
Yeah, one of the things that I teach in the Ugly Samurai is understanding your brain and your mind. I get into the, conscious and subconscious mind, and understanding how to install new programs in your mind. When we were children, we were, when we're born, our minds are in a frequency to learn and copy.
Mhm.
Okay. And in that frequency is called theta. They've done research, and when we're children, we're operating in theta because our mind is just built just to copy and learn whatever it's in our environment, what our parents teach us, and our mind just sucks it up. You can teach a kid multiple languages at that age because they can suck it up. Anything you give a child at that age, they'll copy it, and they'll learn it. So that's called theta. And 95% of our life, this is important information, 95% of our life is coming from the programs that were given to us from the ages below 7 years old,
Mhm.
So, and this is not original content. This is just stuff that I've studied. In fact, I want to give everybody a link of all this information that they can look at it. It's a link that I share. You can DM me or you can subscribe on my website, and I'll send it to you guys. And it explains all of these concepts, And I'm gonna be doing on Thursday. I'm gonna start I'm gonna launch my first 7-day challenge. I call it the 7-day challenge to greatness, where I want to help people discover their greatness, that they're already great. That's my goal with that. If it's a free training, it's 30 minutes and it's 7 days. Yeah. So yeah, you can go to theuglysamurai.com or you can DM me at the Ugly Samurai Dojo if you want more information about it. And yeah, I just want to encourage everybody to sign up for it. You can sign up on at theuglysamurai.com and you can get my emails and everything about it. But I do have those emails, those links to these videos that I give. I give those videos as a giveaways just so that people can start getting education. I'm not against information. I don't want people to misunderstand. Oh, so you just don't consume information anymore. No, I do study. I think you got to make it a study, but a practice as well on
Right.
the information. So that's the difference. So then the question becomes, if we learn all these programs since we were 7, then how do you teach your brain a new program, And that's the Ugly Samurai. That's what I did. And I just gave away, through if you listen to this again, these are the practices, transforming the word ugly, making sure that you have a self-love practice, understanding that you already are great, and figuring out what things you're going to practice for a period of time, and making a commitment to yourself, taking yourself seriously. I take my self-esteem very seriously because I know that what shows up in my life, a huge part of it is because of what I'm broadcasting to the world, so I'm telling the world, this is my esteem, show me what the world, it becomes a mirror, and whatever how much you esteem yourself is what you get out of life as well. I strongly believe that.
Guys, I suggest you do what he says because this thing works. And it's really, it's for anybody. Anybody can do this. Is there anybody you think, Esteban, that cannot do this?
No, everybody can do this.
Anybody. It doesn't matter the kind of hell you're going through.
Yeah.
You can do this. It's about finding the way to reprogram yourself towards what you want. So Esteban can help you figure out what is that you want, and then you're gonna see yourself how far you are from that. That maybe this empowers you, and you don't even feel like going for anything in life. But Esteban's gonna give you the power, the strength to look deeper into yourself and to be able
Well,
to create a new route towards
I'm
that.
yeah, I'm just the guide. I'm just gonna be a guide and a mentor, man. That's all I am. The power comes from the individual. Everybody already has the power. The challenge is that if you lost the power, if you gave your power away, I can help you get it back, but you have to want to get it back, you know?
Okay, the people that watch this and want a little bit of to figure out how can they do this if this serves them, would you be able to give them like a 15-20 minute free consultation to reach out to you and say, you know what, can we talk and see if
Oh
I
yeah,
can
I don't.
do this?
Yeah, I don't take any clients unless we are in harmony and I'm a good fit for them and they're a good fit for me. So
Okay, so
yeah,
guys, here you go. If you watch this, just look at
yeah.
the link here, go to his Instagram, Ugly Samurai Dojo, and send him a message and say, you know what, I saw the live call, even the replay doesn't matter, and I really want to speak to you to see if we are a good fit, if see if there's anything left for me in this planet, something that I can do and reroute my life, and get on a call with him. He'll give you 20-30 minutes of a free consultation, and if you want to continue from there, well, you guys can talk. But
And I also, and like I said, I'm putting out a free course, the 7 Days to Greatness. Anybody that does the 7 Days to Greatness is gonna tap into their power. So, and you know, I want to give a shout out to a friend of mine. He also has something called Help Yourself. I help co-found that. It's called Help Yourself 101. You can look it up on Facebook as well. And that actually has the 100-day program. It's absolutely free, has a lot of information on how to do this 100-day thing. So there's a lot of free resources, like you said, Emilio, that you don't even have to pay for this. It's just your willingness and commitment to do a plan. Sometimes it's all it takes.
guys, you want to change? Remember, you're gonna reach out to Esteban, but he's gonna make you commit. You can't just go and say, you know what, I'm gonna try. You don't try here, or you don't do it, or you're all in. Not one step in and the other one out. You gotta go all in, and this is gonna almost guarantee you that you're gonna be in a new place very soon. But you're gonna have to commit at least to the step-by-step part, which is the 100 days. Maybe it's less. I don't know. Maybe I don't know. Maybe you need the 100 days. Maybe you need less. But you need to do something, and you need to reach out to somebody that has done this. So
Yeah.
be ready to commit. If not, don't even try, because we don't want to ruin this guy's reputation by then saying, you know what, I just tried. I didn't commit. He didn't convince me to commit, so I didn't get any result. You know, we don't want to put him in a bad spot either. So it's just, if you're willing to change your life, really,
Emilio,
be ready to commit.
nobody's gonna put me in a bad spot. Don't worry. I put myself in a bad spot. I take full responsibility. If anyone that does commit to doing something with me, I'm gonna make sure that
Change takes commitment.
that
It's
they
not going to
follow.
happen like this. It takes commitment.
Yeah, I'm gonna make sure they follow through their commitment. So don't worry.
There
Yeah,
you go.
yeah.
Well, Esteban, it has been a pleasure really to talk with you, to learn. I've learned a lot today, a lot. And I think I have 2 or 3 things I'm going to start practicing from now. I think it's all practice until you get used to it and it becomes part of who you are, that new behavior. And then the new results come behind that new behavior. So, Esteban, it's been a pleasure really to speak with you. And hopefully we'll talk soon. We can do another call. We can make another live soon
I
and
would
get
love
the
to do
part of your
this.
story,
I
because I
would
think
love.
that you left a lot out still. I know that there's a lot still to know, but an hour and a half is not enough. So I
Emi-
appreciate you being here in your time, really.
Emilio, thank you so much for hosting and thank you for having me and holding this space. Excuse me. Thank you for holding this space for me to be able to share what I believe is my life's calling right now, which is the Ugly Samurai. So thank you for holding this space, man. And I would love to get feedback from anyone, that did watch it. And,
Yes.
I look forward to looking at the comments and hearing the questions. And again, if anyone wants to reach out, Emilio already gave all the info. So thank you for doing that, Emilio. And I just want to let everybody know the Ugly Samurai is just getting started. This is not a perfect framework. I'm not perfect, and but I'm committed to practicing imperfect action. Many of us sometimes get stuck in a place where we're not taking action unless everything is perfect. So I changed my belief and I said, you know what? I'm going to take imperfect action always beats perfect in action. So that's why you're seeing me here today. If I would have waited till I had the whole thing worked out perfectly, you would not see me today. You probably never hear of the Ugly Samurai. So I want people to know that this is just getting started. It's not a perfect framework, but it is perfect enough to make an impact in your life.
You will start getting there. You will start getting to a better life.
Exactly.
To a better you. When you become better, everything else blooms towards you.
Yes.
Well, brother, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Really appreciate your time. And you guys, when you end this call, please pick 3 things to be grateful for. Okay? Start right now. 3 things to be grateful for as soon as we hang up. Okay?
I love it.
Thank you, Esteban. I'll see you soon, and we'll talk very soon. Okay?
Let's make it
Please
happen.
reach out to him. Be blessed, brother.
Let's make it happen.
Take care. Bye, guys.